Okay. Hello, everyone. I have a very special guest joining us today. Meet Abhijith Ganesh. Abhijith is a student ambassador, MLSA including, and does a whole lot of activities, events, community meetups, coding. I'm sure at his academic institution. We've got hold of his presence today for about 20 odd minutes for us to ask him some questions and get into his mind of him being a student ambassador. Thank you, Abhijit, for doing this for us. At the outset, if you could introduce yourself and set this conversation in motion.
So, hello everyone, I'm Abhijith Ganesh, and I'm a final year student at VAD Chennai. I'll be graduating pretty soon, and I'm a Gold Student Ambassador. I got promoted to Gold last year, right? And throughout this entire journey, I've been able to learn a lot of tech, right? Interact with such nice people, and today we are sitting here at this podcast discussing the entire journey. It's almost a very small but a long journey, a lot of learnings. So I'm really interested in sharing all of them with you.
Sure. My first question, Abhijit, is a lot of these young leaders like yourself are slowly and gradually getting attracted or walking towards this whole tech community. Why did you choose to be on that path, and how did this journey of MLSA happen to you?
So I think it was called MSP before, Microsoft Student Partners, right? And I had a school senior who was a part of this. And at that time, it was very fascinating that someone from my school went upon becoming a Microsoft Student Partner. That was my initial inspiration, right? And when I stepped into college, right, we had the pandemic. So my college, like I joined college in the brink of the pandemic. So initial couple of months, I was sitting at home and I was always fiddling with new things. So back when I say back in the day, I mean 2021, right? My initial journey was with Python, Django, and all of that. And the way I found MLSA community has a lot to do with my development side, right? So I understood that if I am an MLSA, I'll be able to get access to Azure, right? So that I can practice a lot with Azure and become better with it. So that is one major reason why I applied for this program. I got in as well. And once I got in, I started upskilling myself with Azure. So that's the entire journey simplified. There's a lot of nuances to it. Like I have my Azure AI and AZ 900 certifications thanks to MLSA program, right? And I know how to deploy an Azure Kubernetes cluster because of the MLSA program, the Azure AI Studio. The list keeps going on, right? It's just never ending. But at the core of all this is the MLSA journey. Because if I'm not a student ambassador, I don't have access to those credits, right? And I think Microsoft has been supporting a lot of students through right? I currently work for a company and my CEO also was an MLSA. So it's been such a long journey for all of us. And it's pretty interesting that like a lot of young engineers, young talent had access to this.
As a follow-up question, Abhijit, and considering you've been there, why do you think students at large should be part of these tech communities at various campuses? Are there
Okay, so
definitive advantages that you got in your career, and what can we learn from your
Okay,
learnings?
so I would say there are 2 to 3 facets of it, right? One is we are looking at someone who has access to better tech, right? So if you are an MLSA, you will be able to upskill yourself to a large level, gives you a competitive advantage, right? And we're just not talking about Azure. You will have access to other program, like other benefits from the Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. And apart from this, the second facet is you'll be able to understand how to work with your community at large, right? you'll be able to understand how to interact with your peers. A large part of being a student ambassador is to organize community events and to engage with your students, right? Not with your students as such, but like with your peers at your college. So in this case, you'll be able to understand how to network, how to build a better presence. Oops, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, so going on, interruption. Sorry for the brief interruption. I just got a call. I'm really sorry. Going on. So, as a student, you'll be able to understand how to engage with your peers in the most easiest way, right? MLSA gives you this sense of public speaking and event organizing at a very large level. A large chunk of that is there. And on the third facet of it is how you build your digital presence, right? So as an MLSA, you'll be able to understand how to like market yourself on LinkedIn, how to build a good presence for yourself, so that in future, if you are networking with someone and you needed to show your digital presence as your proof of validity, or it's one way of saying that I've been here and I've been a large contributor to it, right? So MLSA also helps you to understand that. It also used to be a way to improve your skills through LinkedIn Learning. MLS, the program used to give you that. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued, but you still can access LinkedIn Learning, right? Similarly, with Visual Studio Enterprise subscription, you have other perks as well. So all of this is readily available, and through this, you'll be able to learn how to improvise yourself. Yeah.
Um, uh, while I think and uh, why should a youngster who's
Hmm.
getting into his or her academic journey be part
Yeah.
of tech communities? What are your learnings that you could share
Right,
your
right. I
stories?
think I did address this point in detail, right? So let me address this point in detail as such, right? When you are starting out young, your access to resources aren't that big in the sense, right? Like now that the internet is very readily available, you can upskill yourself, but there are nuances to technology that you can only learn from your peers. Probably some of them might be senior to you. So when you're joining a tech community, you're always with more intelligent minds. And the popular saying is you should always surround yourself with people smarter than you so that you can learn. Tech communities are one such place where you can learn about your like passion, tech as such together, and you also form nice friendships through the time, right? So a lot of the other MLSAs, some of them I've never met, some of them are in the north region that I've never been able to visit. All of them are friends which you wouldn't be able to do in a regular setting. Apart from that, an X factor, a big reason why you should join a tech community is because you will understand about new releases, right? So if you take Azure Tech Communities itself, Azure Tech Communities have this popular, how do I say it? They give you this advantage where you will understand about new features coming into Azure, general releases, public previews, all of this, right? Azure Tech Communities are the first to promote them. So if you are associated with them, you'll be able to understand that particular feature better. And that particular feature might be able to help you in your company, in your career, or even your startup in some particular way, right? That is one way of gaining knowledge. And as a student, I think knowledge is the ultimate treasure, right? So that's why you should join tech communities.
And I would, in a sense, add to what Abhijit has said. You'll end up also meeting a lot of these your fellow students, fellow engineers from various other academic institutions as part of one melting pot. You could build teams. You could actually do a lot of startups, etc. together when you become part of one large technology community in any particular city. So your exposure in terms of networking with leaders and expanding your learnings increase immensely when you become a part of one community. Abhijit, uh, what's next for you? You're in the fourth year now.
Graduating. Yeah.
Well, how's career looking like? Are there fears of this whole environment of AI taking over in your head as well?
No, to a large level. So I started out with love for Kubernetes and Docker, right? So though I come from a development background, I loved all this, and I kind of adopted these skills early, and I thought these skills weren't replaceable by AI. Guess what? I was wrong. It was so easy to generate all these YAML files, manifest files so easily that any AI tool is able to do it these days, right? And I am definitely scared that AI will take my job to a large level. But also on the flip side, I believe all that's gone, like all that's taken by AI, is also going to open up new jobs, right? Like this is something a bit technical. I wouldn't want to go extensively into it, but the idea is AI generated code isn't that great, right? If you look at it, you know you need to sit and fix it. And sometimes it takes me twice the time to fix AI generated code. I would have written better code myself if I had started with it, right? So there are such trade offs that keep coming in my mind. I currently have an internship. I'm pretty sure I will do well in that and probably convert it into a pre placement offer. And I am happy with my current tech position, but I'm genuinely concerned for AI taking over my job, right? So that's there.
And in the environment that all of us are in, wherein there is so much uncertainty about certain job roles getting affected, yet as you mentioned, new job roles would definitely open up with the invent of this whole AI. How are you mentally preparing for the fight, and what should young students be doing to actually see? I'll give you a context. You're in the year fourth. You're already in a sense out there in the market
Yeah,
uh, for job. Let's go in the future. By next 3 years, the kids who are in year one now, AI would have taken or built much more inroads in next 3 years. What should they be doing so that this whole impact of AI on their jobs 3-4 years down the line does not happen? Are there have you ever thought like this? What are your thoughts?
yeah. So, like contextually, so we're all Indians, right? And from an Indian tech standard, I personally feel we don't have language models for the Indian languages, right? That is one space where I feel students can help a lot because the architectures for all these language models are out in the public, but the training resources and the model weights aren't ready. Like, for example, if you talk to ChatGPT today or even Phi today, you can talk in English, you can talk to it in certain select Indian languages, but it's not built for the Indian context, right? So either you can fine tune a model or make a new model yourself. So that is something. So making an AI model from scratch might sound outlandish to some people, but there's a lot of scope for that for students to do it. I know it sounds very hard and impossible, but I'm pretty sure if you spend at least like enough time research with it, you are definitely going to be able to make your own AI model, right? That's one thing. Secondly, on a mental frontier, I feel you should be ready to, constantly learn. I think the saying with IT industry is that you graduate once, you keep learning for the rest of your life, right? I think when people graduated in 2004, 2005, they had to adopt to cloud in 2008, probably 2013, right? So this era they had to adopt. And people who graduated in 2013 had to learn React in 2018. People who are graduating now should learn AI, and people who are graduating 3 years down the line will have to learn probably agentic AI, multi-agent AI, and so on. So the era keeps changing, but we constantly learn. But there is no end to learning. That's one way to be prepared for it. The other is to see what kind of roles are open for you, right? Because certain roles are not always open for early or fresh careers, right? That's something which you should research upon before applying. And if you're really interested in a certain field and you believe it's worth pursuing, you should definitely pursue it, no matter see, I understand there is a risk of AI taking your job, but there's also a possibility of you can integrate AI into it and make it better, right? For example, automation. If you take software automation as a whole concept, I think agentic AI is at the forefront of it. If you can make a good amount of AI agents that can automate a lot of processes, I'm pretty sure you're doing great, right? So that's something which I've understood with time. So depending on that period of time, look what the problems are, look how you can solve those problems. Problems can be anything. It can be something like I can't log into my email within one click. It could be that. It could be that my billing system is flawed. It could be my personal. I can't track how much I'm spending on my college canteen. It could be any of these. As long as you identify those kind of problems and are building new tech ideas along it, you'll be able to do well. That's my belief.
Abhijit, my last silly question, and I will uh, basis your answer in infer on it. Uh, why are youngsters like yourself not looking at building startups anymore? Are startups not building your own entities? Is that not cool enough, or what has changed in last 2 3 years? 3 years back, startups were the like a flavor of the season. Kids are not interested anymore. I've been speaking to a lot of kids. What has changed?
So, in a large level, right, a lot of this is economic impact, right? When we were 2, 3 years behind, like back in the day, a lot of money was being pumped into the startup ecosystem. And I personally feel it was very lucrative for the financial reason as well. Secondly, I still believe startups are the way to go. I mean, it doesn't have to be that you are the founding member of it, but if take it my case, right? I'm working for a startup. It's not a big startup. You just have about 20 to 50 engineers, right? The idea is you can learn a lot there, but it's also the fact that startups are not offering such great pay as they used to before. Some of them still do, but most of them may not. And I personally feel to be a founder, you need to be multi like faceted. You need to be talented in a lot of things. I mean, I understand you don't have to be a best of it, but you need to have certain skills. For example, you need to understand the product, you need to do your marketing well, you need to understand your customers, your investors. It's a large skill, and I personally feel Generation Z has a lot. I mean, I'm Gen Z too, so Gen Z has a lot of attention issues, and they're not really looking for quick rewards. Not all of them are in for the long game. That's one reason why startups aren't really cool for the upcoming generation. And probably if like I'm pretty sure even 2 3 years down the line there are going to be unicorns coming out of India, right? That's established. I do agree that we are not innovating enough in the tech space, right? I think now UPI itself is 4 5, probably even more than that, right? It's now 5 6 years old, and our next big tech innovation is yet to come. And I constantly see that we are facing a competition of sorts. Not exactly a competition, but then there's a competition between the United States, the China, and the India for who makes the better LLM, right? There's DeepSeek, there's ChatGPT, and we do not have our own, concept of all this. And I'm pretty sure there are startups who are working on it. On the other side, I feel India is evolving a lot towards the robotic startups. And I'm certain that you're going to see autonomous two-wheelers soon. I'm certain you're going to see a lot of these like real life hardware driven products which are driven by AI. And I think India is leading a large portion of it. We don't see them enough, but there's a lot of youngsters like me who are behind it. So yeah, that's something which is we don't speak a lot about it, but that's something which is real. We have a lot of youngsters working on solving Indian level problems at the most physical hardware scale, right? Startups used to be a very software driven enterprise, but now I see India has been evolving towards drones, farming robotics. Not exactly the robots you're envisioning, farming machine tools as such, you can say, uh, soft robotics and all that. I think India is evolving a lot there. And I'm certain that Azure for startups are very effective in this case, right? For example, I was trying to run my own startup. It was called DeployWise, and this was when bedrock wasn't a big thing, right? And in India, we have a way to run GPUs at like cost effective prices, right? So my idea was to run, you have AI models, right? You're going to run them inferences, like you're going to run serverless inferences, and this is going to be like Vercel or Azure Static Web Apps, right? So one click, your model is deployed, and you can directly do inference on it, right? So this is something which I wanted to build. Unfortunately, I couldn't, but this was something which I was always pondering upon, and I was trying to do this with Azure for startups.
Yeah, one of the things uh, that you I think said is lack of resources or funding opportunities that have dried up also has been one of the biggest reasons that youngsters like yourselves are not looking at startups anymore. And I think that's one of the key issues now. My last question is, in the environment that we are in, Abhijit, how do you every day keep going? I mean, is there a mantra that you follow? Are there books that you read? Are there movies, series that you watch to inspire yourself? What's happening there on how do you keep yourself very driven?
Uh, for me, like, see, I would love to read self-help books. I do have them sitting like this right there exactly right now. I can read them if I want to, but then the issue is I feel self-help books drive you to a certain point. I used to read Deep Work from Dr. Cal Newport, but then I stopped reading because it really didn't understand my situation as such, or maybe I wasn't able to appreciate it the way Dr. Cal Newport would, right? So apart from self-help books, I would usually go to the gym in the evenings. That's one way I keep myself motivated. I know the question is how to keep yourself motivated, and going to the gym itself needs motivation. It's a chicken and egg problem. I understand, but I try to go to the gym every day to keep myself like driven. And apart from that, what I used to do is I have my iPad, I sit and I write about my day on Obsidian. That's the note taking app I use. And it just shows like what I did today, what I want to do tomorrow, and what did I like fail today, right? For example, a simple task would be to drink like 3 liters of water a day. That day I wouldn't have drunk that much water. I don't track as such, but I know I didn't drink 3 liters. I'd be upset that I didn't drink 3 liters and I write it down. And it's not that I'm always upset about it. It's the fact that I should have done it, but I didn't do it. So it's getting recorded, right? Similarly, another thing is to improve my problem solving skills. I do not do a lot of lead code, but off late I've started doing because I'm trying to make myself better. Similarly, I wanted to redo my portfolio website again. That's something which I write down. So when it comes to setting goals, I just write it down on my iPad. I just put it on Obsidian, and every day I see what I've done, what I can do better tomorrow. Right? It's just a day-to-day game. I believe day-to-day changes like these, if you're tracking them, it's going to take you places. For example, like today I didn't work out for this long, and I was supposed to work out for 45 minutes. Let's say I didn't work for 45 minutes today. Tomorrow I'm going to work out for 1 hour. That's the goal I'm going to set so that I achieve my goals and become better. So it's just this, right? A simple mantra: what I did today, what am I going to do tomorrow? What's the gap?
Perfect. It was lovely talking to you, Abhijit. We wish you a super career ahead. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Look forward to seeing you more often than this.
Thank you.